Welcome to the Friday Show podcast. We got two very interesting topics to talk about. We're talking about the Delta passenger that was kicked off for his MAGA hat, and then a Ryanair flight almost ran out of fuel with just 6 minutes left of fuel remaining. I don't think people understand how insane that is. So let's get right into it. Let's roll the intro and go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take off with Garybpilot. Let's go!
Welcome to the show. We're going to just jump right into this, right? No point in wasting time.
No,
Yeah,
let's get right
people's
into
attention
it.
span these days are down so low, so we got to keep those analytics up. All right, the first story comes we saw on X, formerly known as Twitter, yesterday that apparently happened on October 8th for this passenger that was removed from a Delta flight, going completely viral here. We got like over now. Yesterday was 1.6 million views. Now it's 2.8 million views. Getting all this attention, people threatening to cancel their, never fly Delta again. And
Here's
the
kicker.
the story isn't what it seems. And this is what is crazy is thanks to Shay, with some investigative journalists, you're going to see some stuff that hasn't been seen anywhere else. So we're going to react to this video. And at the end, I'm going to give you the spoiler of why it didn't make sense to me. As I watched this video, I'm like, this isn't quite making sense. As we said, first off, the spoiler is it's not a MAGA hat.
Not a MAGA hat.
We will get to that. But then the other big spoiler is we'll just save it to the end. So we'll talk about it. So
Why
let's
does it matter so much?
well, what's crazy is this came out of nowhere, right? And
Yep.
all these people are attacking Delta. Delta, as of now, has not responded. So let's watch the video, react, and at the end, we're going to show you what we discovered and why you shouldn't let your outrage. You should always do your own research before you
believe anything.
before you
see
believe
on the
everything.
media.
So let's go ahead and watch it.
So right now, I've been asked to step off the plane because of my hat. Can you believe that? So now I'm waiting for the captain to have a word with me, and I'm flying Delta, and I went on there and sat down, and I haven't said a word to anybody. I haven't done anything, but because of my hat, they asked me to step off the plane. So anyhow, I'm waiting for the captain. He'll be here shortly.
Okay, so obviously, if you look very closely and pause it and bring it back there, it isn't technically a MAGA hat. You could say it was MAGA like affiliated,
right.
right?
But that's not what it says.
So why don't you fill them in? What does it actually say?
It says "Build Back Better, my ass."
Okay, so the first thing that I noticed, right, that I saw, it was like, why would this be relevant? So apparently this happened October 8th of 2025. So what, 3 days ago?
Yep.
I was like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you be wearing a hat that's a slight at Biden after he's been out of office? So I was like, that was my first kind of like there. But right off the bat, right, we have to get the facts correct. It didn't say make America great. It said build back better, my ass. Now, whether we're going to get into this in a second, whether the word ass is a curse word or whatever, all these people are saying for a MAGA hat, my rights are being violated. Like everybody's saying, you have to at least get the premise first. Remember, understand that it's not, that's what it says. So at least let's set the premise correct.
Well, and I'll say right off the bat, I kind of observed that the people who don't actually cause disturbances are the ones who are more respectful to get off the plane and assess the situation versus the people who actually cause disturbances and claim they didn't cause really, really big scenes when they've been asked to step off the plane.
Yeah, and that's my first impression is he comes off very like calm, but either way, let's continue on.
Up here in the gatehouse.
At the gate?
I do.
Well, I got to go to the gate.
Well, because there's passengers.
What's that?
This is more of a private conversation.
I didn't know.
Respect you.
Oh, it ain't no problem.
So, there's been.
And they're still boarding.
Let me put you in my perspective. I have to comply with the wishes.
Okay, we have to stop here.
Wait.
P Lane. This is what everybody noticed on Twitter is that they were
Captain P.
The captain's name is Plane. So here's the deal. I reached out to my friends at Delta. Delta is one of the few airlines that has name tags.
Yeah.
And the reality is he told me that anybody can change their name tag as they can print whatever they want. So people do it all the time and put different little puns and different things.
Yeah.
So that's why his name isn't actually Plane, because a lot of people thought this was fake. No, it's just that's his little like joke of like humor because I guess Delta gives you a name tag, but you're kind of allowed, you can put a nickname or whatever you want.
No, he was destined to become a pilot the second his parents named him.
Named him Plane.
P. Lane.
So let's hear him now. He gets into talk about safety. Let's continue on.
I have to comply with the wishes of everybody. Okay.
Okay. What's weird right here is he says, I have to comply with the wishes of everybody. It's like, actually, no, you don't. Because what that means, that would include his wish too.
Did the
So,
captain's wish
well,
or the
no,
passenger's
the captain
wish?
just said he has to comply with everybody's wishes. So
Oh,
if you're not more specific, that would mean his wish too. That doesn't make any
right.
sense. You don't have to comply with everybody's wishes. That's just simply not true.
Okay.
So here's the deal. Safety is my number one concern.
I ain't never broke a law in my life.
I understand. I
And I
understand.
follow a sky priority, and I fly Delta. I
That's
wouldn't
fine.
fly nothing else.
I hope you.
I haven't said nothing to nobody.
Well,
Haven't
I
touched
know.
nobody.
Let me explain.
Okay.
Okay. I hope you write this up. I do.
You what?
I hope you write this whole thing up. Okay. What happened? Because Delta
Oh,
needs
I'm
to resolve
believe
this.
me, I'm videoing it.
No, I don't.
Oh no! I can video, but
Why does he tell him that he hopes he writes it up
Well,
and
see,
then
but
pushes his video out of the
so, but
way?
what that's the thing is you look at what he's saying. He's saying safety is the number one priority, but then, oh, by the way, I hope you write this up. So the weird part is the captain could make the decision here and just say, I'm okay with the hat or not. But either way, it's kind of like, we're going to get into this more about he keeps using the word safety. I
And he
think
keeps saying the wishes of everybody else, even though he hasn't said yet.
Yeah. Well, the thing is he's saying on just between you and me, I hope you're right. But then he finds out he's being filmed and he kind of
Yeah, he pushes it.
pushes it away. So I think what he's saying is that you should write this up to Delta that this is ridiculous. But here's the thing: as the captain, he has way more authority than this. He could tell them, you know what? I don't care. It's a hat. Like it says
If
ass
he's
on
not causing
yeah, if he's
disturbances,
not
leave him
causing other
be.
disturbances. So like I feel like he has more authority than he's like leading on here, but he's also, I guess he's trying to give the captain credit, he's probably trying to like smooth everything over because he doesn't have to come up and talk to this guy. He
Right.
could just throw him off and say, I'm done. So
I
the
found that interesting too, that he got off to talk to him when he already walked off the plane. Like if they wanted him off the plane, then
yeah. Well,
you
normally
already
if
got him
you're
off.
really being a disturbance, we don't even go back there and say anything. We just call security and get them taken removed off.
Hmm.
So, that's part of the issue here, but let's continue on.
people. But
Okay. You
you
and
know,
I are going to stop this.
Is
Here's the
this
deal.
a Delta going to take me off the plane because of my hat?
Not because of your hat. It's because you're not complying with the instructions.
What's there to comply with?
My flight crew is in charge of safety.
So there's the part. He says it's not about the hat, it's about following instructions. Well, it kind of is about the hat.
Yeah, because they're instructing him to remove the hat.
Well, and here's the thing. It's clearly, whether you want to admit it or not, it's clearly political. It's
Yeah.
politically designed. It's a slight at Biden. It's kind of a red hat. So it's like I'm for Trump. So what they're trying to get at is we ask you to take it off so you don't comply with that. I feel like that's a little bit of a stretch, and I may take some heat for this. But in my opinion, this is being a little bit used a little bit too aggressively because when you're on the plane and you don't comply, that's for people that's like some walk by. I'm not going to put up my window shade when you ask me. I'm not going to. There's some people that just don't want to comply just to be a pain in the
They're
ass.
sitting in the exit row.
Yeah, like it says I need a verbal yes. Some people
Mhm.
I've seen it before. People say,
Will they ask you to move?
"Oh yeah, no, they'll kick you off the plane or they'll move you for one of the two if you don't do that." They
Oh,
need
wow.
it's legal law. You need a verbal yes. And so what I'm getting at is people come up with these reasons to make life difficult. And I think the captain's a little bit overreaching here because the reality is, well, is it against the rules of Delta to wear the hat or not? But we'll continue on.
Okay, and I'm doing something wrong.
So,
I've
no.
never done nothing wrong in my life.
No. If you can't comply with the simple instruction of removing the hat,
The lady next to me asked to take a picture of me, so I put it back on. She was taking pictures for her daughter, and the next thing you know, they come right back over there
I don't know all
again.
the specifics. I'm just saying, I'm giving you the option, okay? Either you keep the hat off and you follow the instructions of the flight attendants, because in the case of an emergency, how do I know, based on this simple little issue, that you would follow their instructions in an emergency?
Oh,
If you
I'd be
won't-
glad to help with everything if there's an emergency.
Okay.
So let's listen for a second and take this back. So imagine he was wearing a purple hat, and for whatever reason, everybody had a problem with a purple hat.
I would have a problem with purple.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
So let's say they have a problem with a purple hat, and that's all it was. There was no writing on it. Let's do a thought experiment. It wasn't political. It's just that.
Yeah.
They ask him to take the hat off. Okay, well, let's say he doesn't want to do that. Oh, this is my hat, or there's other religions that require them to wear that. So where is this line as far as what's the reasoning between obeying? Obviously, you need to obey the crew's instructions, but at what point could it get ridiculous? What if he said, I told you to pat your head 3 times and rub your belly and then close your eyes the entire time? And you said, I don't want to do that. Oh, you're not complying with the safety of my. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a very fine line between like a company's policy and just like personal discretion.
Right. And I think, and this is what another red flag that I noticed here was that suddenly, why would people want to take a picture of this hat? Biden's been out of office a year. It doesn't even, it's a year and Trump's won. I don't understand. And this is what started, piecing it.
I had some questions about
Yeah.
the relevancy of this video.
Yes. And I think this is a perfect time. Let's do our one sponsor that supports this channel, and we'll be right back with the reveal.
I would like to introduce today's sponsor, Huel. If you haven't heard of Huel yet, it's a complete meal packed with all the essential nutrients you need to thrive and keep you energized throughout the day. This honestly has been a game changer for me because I can grab the drink and have it throughout the morning when I get kids ready, on my way to the gym, and on our last minute travel days when we're on our way to the airport and we want to stay sharp. I like that this is a healthy product with ingredients that I can actually trust. My favorite drink so far is the vanilla ready to drink. It has 40 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, and 27 essential vitamins and minerals, and completely gluten-free with no added sugars.
So I know vanilla is your favorite, but I gotta say I'm a big fan of the Daily Greens. I drink one of these at least every day. It's got 42 different vitamins and minerals. It's developed by a registered nutritionist, 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, and only 1 gram of sugar. Perfect for me because I really like to stay keto.
Huel makes eating healthy really simple, and they actually just launched in Target stores nationwide to make it more accessible.
Target's your favorite store, babe.
I haven't been since yesterday.
You can try all their products and get 15% off your first order with the promo code GaryB, or you can go to Huel.com/GaryB. Now, back to the video.
Thing if there's an emergency,
Okay, so
you know.
help us all out.
But what I'm saying is, when I get back, is Delta policy. Just because of my hat, I can be removed.
So here's the deal. I guess you spoke to this gentleman before. My understanding after the flight attendants is as soon as you left, his hat went back on.
Because a lady was taking a picture of it, and another guy goes, "Man, I love that hat." So they said,
he's videotaping this. He's going to put it on YouTube. So
"Oh, I ain't gonna put nothing on the internet. I'm just making sure I'm protected my rights. I don't fly nothing but Delta. This guy priority. I fly all the time. I wore this hat to Vegas. I wore this hat to Salt Lake City. Ain't nobody said nothing. So now, if there's somebody on that plane that's got something on their head, or I don't like their shirt or their T-shirt, you gonna have them remove it for me?"
Well,
See what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense.
See, he brings up a good point.
That is a good point.
The
because
purple hat theory.
Right, and that's my point. Is he brings a good point that he just went to Vegas and flew a couple times with his hat, and they didn't say anything, and he only flies Delta. So he did several flights with this,
Yeah.
and really, like all things in life, it comes down to the ass, right?
Yes,
It's
it does.
just the ass, because it's the word ass. Is ass Delta needs to be clear. Is the word ass on any type of clothing? What if it was a Georgia Peaches, and says,
What if it was a donkey? And
right?
it says ass.
So that's really what it comes down to, because now you leave it to discretion, because he brings up a good point. What if somebody had a problem with it? Well, what if he has a problem with somebody's? You could just go back and forth. So I think really this is less about, obviously it's controversial because it's political.
Yeah.
The real reason is they just need a more uniform standard of like, is this allowed or not? Delta needs to be able to look at their thing and say that is not allowed. But that's the problem. If you make a list like that, you could get it
It's gray area anyways, though,
well,
because
yeah. Well, that's what I'm getting at, is they give them discretion. They give them discretion to be able to like use your judgment, but then you use the judgment, then it's like, well, I don't know, maybe it's okay, maybe it's not.
I've seen a lot of people on X like side with the airlines and say it's because it's profanity and there could be children on board and things like that. But at the same time, it's
As a libertarian, I just have to laugh that like suddenly like Democrats find it offensive for the word ass, like, because all the ones that people that are in here are saying it's a swear word, like really, like I just feel like that's a little bit.
I think ass is a swear word,
right? Because that's what he goes to argue here. Let's continue on.
well,
See what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense to me. I ain't trying to. Don't let me hold the plane up. I mean, I'll hold the hat. But I'm going to address this when I get back, because I think my rights are being violated. Just don't say nothing bad.
well,
Do you think everything's been built back better?
not in your situation. I have denied passengers that says, for example, bitch one, bitch two, or a profanity t-shirt. They have.
So there's the thing. He says it doesn't say anything bad, which I would tend to agree. That's a little bit soft, like to say like the word just to say build back better my ass. That's like saying it was your kid and I was, growing up Christian, you'd say my butt. That's what you're allowed to say. Like you couldn't say my ass, but it was like, come on. It's like, yeah, right. So if you literally change the words to get real or something like that, then
would they still have the same issue with it? I don't know.
Yeah, but here's the issue. All these people in X watching this video saying you're comparing Make America Great to the word be. Well, it's not exactly true, because she's comparing it to that word there.
Right.
When you don't have all the facts.
She's What, denied people for using the words?
No. She says with writing that says B and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so he's saying, it's just a matter of discretion at this point.
He's considering he's being very polite about handling the situation. He even admit he'd be willing to just go and hold the hat, but when he lands, he's going to
He's being
write it up.
polite.
He's being polite.
But in fairness, to both sides, I think that it's a little bit extreme. I wouldn't say his rights are being violated. You're
Right.
on an airline that has a policy. You have, nobody's forcing you on that airline, although you could argue from the libertarian standpoint that the market's so convoluted and it's not a real free market, so you don't have real free choices. And that's
Yeah.
a whole different thing. But in reality, is that would you have this much outrage if let's say if I wanted to go to a golf course and not wear a poloed shirt? They require that you wear collared shirts. So can I go there and say, well, I don't want this because my rights are being violated? No, at restaurants, they say we can refuse service to anyone.
Yeah.
No shoes, no shirt. It's not even that. They can just say, we don't want you.
Do the airlines have that same policy over something like this? And do they offer like reimbursement or accommodations?
I don't know. I think they're going to go back and then they decide later on. They may or may not. I think that generally speaking, they'll just rebook you on another flight because they just don't want to deal with it. But I think that the rights thing is a little bit extreme, just for the fact that like a business has the right to enforce their policies. Now, whether you want to argue they're forcing it universally and that more standard, then that's
different.
That's a whole different argument. But I feel like it's just a little bit tricky there. Let's keep watching.
To cover it up. So the wordings does.
If this had an F word on it, ma'am, I wouldn't even wear it in public.
I understand. But I asked you, it's only an hour of flight. Just take it off during flight.
Right, and then the lady next to me, she said, "Put it on. Let me take a picture." So I put it on. She took a picture. Another guy took a picture, and then somebody walked up and said, "We need to go talk."
Oh no. Okay.
It hadn't been 5 minutes. The plane hadn't even took off yet.
It appeared from what the flight attendant saw that as soon as she left, you disrespected her wish.
No. He agreed. He agreed with me.
No, I didn't put it on right then. I
I
had other people sitting around me asking me to put it back on because they don't have the right to tell you to take it off.
But it appears. It appeared.
It
appeared to the
But
flight
he
attendant.
agreed. As soon as I spoke to him, he took it
I
off.
just want to make sure that everybody on my flight understands that safety is number one.
Yeah.
And if we are in an
Well,
emergency,
if this is violating safety in any manner, we got serious problems with Delta. Because this has.
It's hard. I might take heat for that, but he's not wrong because he says if this is violating safety, we got serious problems.
At least she admits he took off the hat. She's advocating that he did what she asked.
But let's ask the audience here. What would you guys do in this situation? And for me, I guess just because I fly standby so much and I'm used to always a free ride, I would instantly just be like, oh, no problem. Take it off. And I'd leave it off. I could take it off.
I don't think at standby you can wear anything political though, right?
I know I don't. It's a little more dicey these days, but you can technically.
With standby, you have a standard, like you have to dress appropriately.
Well, remember too, political beliefs are not a protected class. People don't realize that. You can't deny somebody for race, religion, things like that.
Right.
However, there was a case once where somebody had a Bernie Sanders bumper sticker and they called a tow truck. I think this was in Asheville, North Carolina, shockingly. And the person had broke down. The tow truck driver came up, saw the sticker, took off, and said, "Why don't you call the government to come fix it?" But they ruled that there's nothing wrong with that because political beliefs aren't like a protected class. You can't. So the point being is you can be discriminated against, as far as I'm aware, for political beliefs.
That's crazy.
So let's continue on.
Over here.
Well, no, you're saying you're worried about safety.
It is. If you can't, the appearance. Okay. So you tell me to do something. Right?
I wouldn't tell you to. You're the captain.
No, I'm not. Just you and me talking. Okay.
Yeah.
If you tell me to do something, and then I do it in front of you, and as soon as you turn your back, I do go back to what I was doing. Would you not be offended?
Well, but it's not a matter of being offended. If you was doing something that was, if I had the authority to tell you to do something, you could question it. I'm not breaking no law.
I'm not saying you are. I'm an ultra conservative.
That'd be like coming up to me and saying,
I'm probably more ultra MAGA than you are. Okay. I'm just saying.
Shocker. And I'm not saying this, but people have pointed out that this captain apparently has earrings and nails. This is just the comments, what they're saying. I didn't even notice that, but I am shocked.
To the beginning of the video, you'll see when you see P Lane, you will see the earring and manicure.
So to me, that's very interesting. That's like a curveball I was not expecting, that this captain says he's more MAGA than Gene. So by the
She cracked up laughing at
yeah,
that though.
well, and I mean it's funny too because you're not expecting that. I'm probably more MAGA than you, but this guy's got a picture with Trump and pours concrete. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think that's a little bit of a reach to say you're more MAGA than this guy with the Georgia accent that sells Trump MAGA hats.
If the pilot's claiming that it's not, well, now he's setting the precedent that it's not for a political basis. So then they're making it seem like ass is the only issue, right?
Yeah, and so then that's a fair argument. That's what it gets down to. Is the argument is that allowed? Which we've already covered. We'll finish this out here.
And that right now, I got to make sure that
Donald Trump signed 2 of these for me across there. He thought it was hilarious. Everybody thinks it's hilarious. So somebody's got their panties in a wad
Exactly.
over my hat,
Exactly.
and I'm out here, a businessman, well recognized amongst all the high. I mean, I can call the president. I can call the governor on the phone right now of Georgia. That's people I know, and I'm out here being questioned like I'm.
So he's a little bit of name dropping there. Says he can call the president, then corrects it to governor. But he does have a picture with Trump, and he's businessman. So
It's true.
big people with big business. My friends at Delta actually, he said that this guy Gene King says he's awesome, gave him hats and poured their concrete for both their houses. So
That's so funny.
I guess he is a nice guy. But let's finish up.
A troublemaker
No,
or
no, 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 no
yeah, these
trouble.
people are going to be looking.
We
It's
just
a-
want to
it's a
make
perception.
sure that you comply. Like I spoke to you.
I
and
don't.
you
This flight's supposed to
don't
be
say
taken
anything,
off.
okay?
Either let's fly or
All
y'all remove me from the plane.
no, just please.
Just
Y'all want to remove me from the
that's
plane?
all. No, all right, thank you.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
All right.
And that's how the video.
Fly.
That's or removed for the. So that's like took a turn. I thought they were going to work it out, and then
Yeah.
but he stuck to his guns, which is respectable if you want to hold that view. But again, I take the view as a libertarian. That's a private airline. It's their policy. If they decide, you can obviously follow up, write it up, complain. You have action, but at the end of the day, they have the authority. It's their property. They can tell you yes or no.
Why? I mean, obviously we weren't there, but why won't they just start off and say like, "Hey, the hat, we want it removed because of the profanity, not just take off the hat."
Well, I think it was obvious that's the reason why, but maybe not. But either way, why don't we come with the big reveal? As I said throughout this video, there's a lot of things that didn't make sense. Why would somebody be wanting pictures with a hat at a slide at Biden when we've been out?
Right.
So, Shay, why don't you tell us your investigative FBI
Well,
journalist?
I looked more into Gene King and actually more specifically the hat itself. I wanted to confirm that that's what the hat said and if it was being sold and where it was being sold. That's when I found Gene King's website, Build Back Better My Ass. And at the bottom of his homepage is a YouTube video, and it's this video. The one we're watching now was posted by someone from TikTok. But then when you click on the video, it was posted 3 years ago
in 2022.
in 2022, June 17th of 2022.
So all these people that are mad at Twitter tagging the secretary and stuff, this was 3 years old over a MAGA hat that it wasn't even a MAGA hat.
People are scorching both sides right now. They're scorching Delta, telling them to make a statement. How dare they? And this isn't even relevant. People are blowing up as if this is like an event that occurred now.
Where is Delta's PR firm? I feel like I instantly would have been like, dude, this was 3 years ago. Like,
Yeah, the reports say this event occurred October 8th of 2025.
yeah. So this is just a good reminder on X. So what they did, how many views does his video have? It was like 3,000? 300?
Well, his video
Yeah.
only has about 3,000.
It's
But
only
I
a s-
think that's growing recently.
Well, no, yeah. So he only has 3,000 views. So somebody took an old video from 3 years ago, put it on X, claimed it was October 8th of 2025, and it blew up. You have Matt Gaetz, who people say I look like him too.
No,
Yeah, you don't think
look
so?
like- or JD Vance. You
Or
don't
yeah,
look
I
like
get that. I get the Mac from Always Sunny in Philadelphia when I was a little leaner, Scott Disick.
with a beard.
Yeah. So either way, this just goes to show how much manufactured outrage can happen. Everybody thinks this is recent. And as far as I'm looking, I don't see one single person that
Talking
is
about when
talking
this
about
actually
when this
happened.
was and giving the full context.
Don't believe everything you see on the
Yeah.
internet.
Or at least ask the questions and look in there. That was the first thing that was a red flag to me.
Yep.
Why are people wanting pictures with a slide at Biden 10 years? That doesn't make any sense.
Or in more recent events, when something occurs with a passenger, it's always like Delta flight 20, whatever. Like it's usually
You get
get the information on it. This was just a Delta flight. It didn't say where it was going, where it was coming from.
Yeah.
There was no one else speaking about it besides.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think. Should you be allowed on the flight with the hat? Is that wrong? Where are we right or wrong? Or what do you think? Again, these are our opinions. We're not professionals when it comes to political and property rights.
You know what I think we should do with Gene King though?
Huh.
We should recruit him to be Big Mac.
Oh, he'd be the
because his
perfect.
voice.
That's
perfect.
exactly what I was going for. Like the country Gruff. Let's move on to the last topic, which is quite wildly one of the wildest things I have ever seen. This is, I think, the Daily Mail UK sums this up, says 6 minutes from disaster. So there was a flight a couple days ago. Ryanair was going from Pisa, Italy to Scotland.
Okay.
And the flight came in, had some trouble getting in, just circled a couple times. We can pull up let's pull up the actual graph of the chart here. So it circled in, did a couple attempts, tried at a different airport.
So it was just holding.
Yeah, well, it was trying attempts. So it held a little bit, but it was trying attempts at other
Okay.
2 different airports up in
Oh.
northern, and then eventually declared an emergency, went all the way down to Manchester, and it landed with with 220 kilos of jet fuel. Just to break that down, that is 485 pounds. And for all a fun fact of trivia of the day, jet fuel weighs 6.7676 pounds a gallon. So if you divide pounds by gallons, so that's the number. So if you want to know, because water weighs 8 pounds a gallon, jet fuel weighs slightly less, 6.7676. So you divide 485 by 6.7676, it ends up at 71 gallons of fuel.
Oh my God.
They landed with 71 gallons of fuel. Just for reference, if I'm not mistaken, I think that like some are big, like F-350s and like bigger trucks can hold.
Wow.
I mean, what does our car hold? Like 12 gallons? Only
It
12,
says 12
12
gallons.
gallons. Okay, so maybe not quite, but either way,
It's a hybrid.
yeah, exactly. But if you look at this,
So that's only about 5 or 6 minutes left
that
of
is
flight
5
time.
or 6 minutes left of flight time. This plane came from completely starving from fuel and would have glided, because people say fall out of the sky. It would have glided out of the sky. But
What would you have done though in that instance? Because they couldn't land because of the strong winds. If you ran out of fuel and you just had to glide your way somewhere, like
I think that this is an interesting one because I've looked up, I can't find anything close to this. I've heard of people landing with low fuel, and just for a reference, the 737, most captains, it's a discretion when you decide, because a lot of times this happens to us. We'll be out there holding and we say, okay, we need this amount of fuel to get to here. So basically, when we're holding, if we can't get in by this time, we are going to divert and go to another airport. And you want to land typically, and this can vary, but I would say roughly, depending on the type of 737, you'd want to land with about 5,000 pounds of fuel. That's like your good buffer. That's where guys,
5,000 pounds.
Five-
This is how many? 400?
they were at 408, roughly about 485 pounds of fuel.
Oh my.
So I've landed at a time that was just below 5,000. We may have landed about 4,000 actually when we declared emergency in Squawk 7700. We landed at 4,000 pounds. And then now, granted, this is Airbus 321, but it's about the same metrics.
Was that the time I was pregnant?
Yes. And that was when you were supposed to meet me. That was when you're supposed to meet me,
Yes,
right?
I was supposed to meet you
In
at your
San Diego.
layover
You
in
drove
San
all the way to
Diego.
San Diego, and then I ended up,
Got into the hotel.
they checked you in.
They checked me in, and then I still haven't heard back from Gary. His flight didn't land. Had no idea what was happening. And 2 hours later, you were like,
Yeah,
"I'm
I'm
in
in.
Arizona."
Yeah, I diverted to Tucson, I got to do a whole video on that. That's a whole other
Yeah.
thing. But long story short, 5,000 pounds. So these guys landed with 10 times less. I usually land when that one time I was there, I landed with 10 times more fuel than these guys did. 5 to 6 minutes these guys must have had to change their underwear. They're going to be balding early. That whole flight back, because they're doing those calculations, they may have had to wonder if they were actually going to make that Manchester. At that point, I don't know the area that well. I don't fly up there. Obviously I go into London, but I don't go into these other areas. I would have been looking at that point probably for a grass strip or any type of emergency there to land, like any type of field, because I would have rather been in a controlled situation where I can control. Now, obviously, it looks like they made the right call, but 5 to
Right.
6 minutes, I cannot explain to you how.
That's crazy.
And I've looked it up. We can't find any other reports out there that have even came that close. Like this was this close to a disaster. And
If you guys find another incident similar to that, you should totally comment because
Well,
I'd be interested to know
there was
another
a
story behind it.
well, there was like a 330, right? But they had a fuel leak over the Atlantic, and they had to glide into the Azores, and I guess they made it, but they
Wow.
you know, this instance where this low, the only other story that I remember, and they teach this in captain leadership and like pilot leadership skills, is when they back in the day, there was the precedent, and this was kind of what they talked about on the rehearsal, is that the captain made the calls,
Mhm.
everybody else just shuts up.
Yeah.
And
They're like too intimidated to even speak up.
correct. And this is what they teach is there was a flight, and I believe it was going into Portland, Oregon, and they were circling. Everybody else, the flight engineer, the FO, maybe they had at that time they may have had 4 pilots total. They knew that they were going to run out of fuel, but they kept just like they call this what they tell us pilots not to do anymore is the hint and hope method. You have to be direct and tell somebody, "Hey, we are low on fuel. We need to go." They kept saying, sir, we're kind of getting low on fuel." They kept trying to hint and hope, and they were so scared to say something to the captain, they actually ran out of fuel and crashed. I don't remember all the details, but it's something they teach in
So
aviation
the captain's not paying attention to the fuel levels?
because he's trying to do the other stuff. And so they
Okay.
just keep saying, and if I'm not mistaken, then maybe this is when they had a flight engineer that I don't know this for sure, but maybe the fuel gauges are back where the flight engineer's
Oh,
job.
so circumstances could have
So
been
he's just
different.
so busy trying to figure out what they're going to do. And they all knew it, but they were so scared to speak out against the captain because
Oh.
back in that day, what people don't realize, and I've had older captains tell me this, you could get fired at the discretion of the captain. He could just say
Oh my
you're.
gosh.
There was one time I hear the story. They were pushing back. The ramper gave the captain attitude. He got out on the radio, called, and they fired the ramper right there on the spot. You had so much authority that you had to conform to the captain's wishes, and that's what led to a lot of accidents because they were so scared
Yeah.
to speak up. Either way, getting back to this is obviously now under investigation, but sometimes it just happens, right? There was 100-mile-an-hour winds, and they couldn't get in.
The
They
circumstances were out of their control.
to an
What
extent.
what time did this happen?
I mean they said they went 200 minutes longer than expected, but I guess they finally touched down just before 9 p.m. in Manchester,
So
England.
if it would it have been dark already?
I think it's close right there. England's up pretty high. We're early October. It would have been close. So I think it would have been like civil twilight, as we call it in the.
Well, I'm glad they landed because that would have been hard to find something, if it's dark out.
Yeah, well,
If
that's
you
what
don't
I'm.
know. I don't know. Do you guys learn about like the area? That might be a dumb question. Do you learn about the areas that you like typically fly into? Real
Uh,
quick, what's your route, by the way?
my route. Yeah, you do, but usually not. It's not required. You can learn about everything you need in the Jeppesen charts to tell
Okay.
you about there, and that's why they have reference company pages, notes. So there's all the stuff that you need to know. But at the end of the day, it's the approach plates and the
Mm.
ATC that helps you get in. So I'd be curious to know what happened with all these other planes. The fact that they
Me
couldn't
too.
land, just a wild story, and I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad that it worked out, but I think there should be some new lessons learned, and this is a good reason why sometimes when you get somewhere and it doesn't make sense in aviation, you're like, why do we have to divert? We still had all this time left to fuel. It's for this. You put in buffers in case something like this happens. That you have to be able to fly that. There's all these rules and requirements. If the weather's good, you just need enough to go to one. But if it's bad, then you need enough to go to that airport, then another airport, and have enough fuel remaining.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So wild story. Let us know what you guys think of that. Glad it worked out. I guess Ryanair's TikToks are probably gonna be a little quiet because usually they're just trashing on everybody. I think now's the time to.
Right? Don't they put like the eyes and the
Yeah.
mouth like over the plane?
And they're always
like,
trashing on all their passengers. I think
Yeah.
now's your time to get some revenge
right?
on
Now
Ryanair.
it's our turn.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Yeah. Good show. Are you feel good?
I feel really good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks. If we could hit a like and subscribe if you're still watching, that really helps the channel. Hype up the video. And got some new videos coming soon. So until next time,
Stay safe.